Chris.
Anthony Joshua just threw fuel on the fire, backing Chris Eubank Jr. after witnessing his vicious training sessions up close. What's more, Joshua didn't just nod in approval, he outright belittled Conor Benn, making it clear that Benn doesn't belong in the same league. Meanwhile, Joshua was stunned by Eubank's focus and savage work ethic, a clear sign that he's locked in for war.
What are you expecting from that fight?
I think it's going to be a very good fight. Conor has punch and power chances. Chris is the bigger guy, so you give Chris the advantage going in because he's a bigger guy, but Conor does have exceptional punch and power, so it's going to be a great fight. I think Chris should win the fight. I think Chris should outbox him, outsmart him, but he will have to be smart early because Conor is a great puncher.
On the other hand, Chris Eubank Jr. isn't just confident, he's dangerously dismissive, treating Conor Benn like a rookie stepping into deep waters without a life jacket. He's not wasting time building game plans or studying Benn's style, because in his mind, Benn isn't even worth the effort. What's more, Eubank sees zero
fundamentals with you. You know what I'm saying? Because if you can't take your fundamentals, you can't go nowhere. If you can take your basic foundation and your basic fundamentals, it all stays the same. A little more weight just means a little bit more power. But if you don't take the fundamentals with you, a little more weight will mean a little less power. So I advise him to take his fundamentals with him when he
talk about the best fight and the best. That's not the best fight and the best, but it's a fight. There's a demand for it from the public because of their history. So that's why it's selling so well and doing so much business. How do I see it paying out? I don't know if Conor can give away the weight. I don't know.
Money said that he wants to see how the fighters look at the weigh-in. He mentioned that Chris Eubank Jr. has to make weight and also has to rehydrate after the weigh-in. Dev feels that a lot of the fight will depend on how comfortable Eubank is at the weight they will fight at. He believes that Conor Benn is smaller but very aggressive and will try to knock out Eubank quickly. Dev wonders if Eubank has the energy to handle Benn's attack and make it to the second half of the fight. In the end, he's not sure who will win, but he will definitely be watching the fight.
I think I want to see what they look like at the weigh-in, and even then he's got to make a weight afterwards, doesn't he? He's got a rehydration thing. I think a lot of this feels like it depends on how comfortable Chris Eubank Jr. is at the weight that they're going to end up fighting at, and that's where it kind of lies for me. Conor Benn is smaller, but he's very, very aggressive, and he'll be looking to just try and knock out Eubank as quickly as possible. And I think it's about, can Eubank, does he have the energy resource to kind of weather the storm and see Benn in the second half of the fight? That's kind of where it lies for me. I don't know, but I'll be tuned in on DAZN.
However, Chris Eubank Jr. was asked if he feels he has enough time to achieve his goals in boxing. He responded that despite being 35 years old, he still has plenty left in him. He mentioned that Conor Benn might think he is washed up and finished, but he believes he has a lot more to offer. Eubank also pointed out the opportunities provided by organizations and figures like Riyadh Season, Saudi Arabia, and Al Sheikh, which are giving fighters new chances. So he feels he still has enough time to continue on his path and achieve his goal.
35 years old, and according to Conor Benn, I'm washed up and finished, but you know, there is a lot that I still have left in the tank, regardless of what people may think. And that, coupled with the opportunities that Riyadh Season, Saudi, Turkey Al Sheikh are the opportunities that these outfits are giving to fighters now. Absolutely, I've got plenty of time to to continue on my own path.
Frampton said that he would like to see Chris Eubank Jr. move up to 168 pounds because he thinks fighting at 160 pounds is starting to hurt him. He added that the appeal of the fight between Eubank and Conor Benn is huge, and even he, as a boxing purist, is excited for it. Frampton expressed his anticipation for fight week, expecting a lot of chaos, and he's really looking forward to the fight.
Eubank stay at, I think 160 is hurting him now. I would like to see him fight at 168, but the appeal of this fight is massive.
Oh,
It's something that, I mean, it's even got my attention. Like, and I see myself as a boxing purist, but I can't wait for fight week. I think there's going to be chaos.
Yeah.
And then I can't wait for the fight.
Troy Williamson, who sparred with Chris Eubank Jr., said that he is really excited as a fan for the upcoming fight between Eubank and Conor Benn. He predicted that Eubank would win, explaining that Eubank has fought better caliber opponents, is bigger and stronger. He also mentioned that Conor Benn is not the same fighter since he got caught with performance-enhancing drugs, lacking the same explosiveness and ability to knock people out. Troy added that if asked a year ago, he might have picked Benn, but now, with everything being on a level playing field, he would go with you.
Obviously, he's got the big fight with Conor Benn coming up. How do you think that's going to go?
I'm really excited as a fan, but if I was to pick a winner, I'd go with Eubank.
Why's that?
And I think he's been in with the better caliber of opponents. He's bigger, he's obviously stronger. I think Conor Benn is not the same fighter since he got caught with them performance enhancing drugs in his system. I don't think he's the same fighter. He hasn't got the same explosiveness. Not completely out no more. So if you asked me last year, I would have probably went with Conor Benn. But obviously now on a level playing field.
However, Chris Eubank Jr. is looking more than in shape ahead of his highly anticipated fight with Conor Benn. His physique is sharper, showcasing his dedication to intense training. Eubank has focused on improving his strength and endurance, aiming to dominate the ring and prove his superiority over Ben Bradley, who has sparred both Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn, believes the fight will come down to who performs best on the night. He acknowledges that Eubank is the bigger man, but Benn brings speed and powerful punches. Bradley anticipates a thrilling match showcasing the powerful legacies of both fighters' families, with both having something special to prove. He refrains from making a prediction, as both fighters have the potential to deliver on the big night.
Today, you know, Chris is the bigger man, but Conor has spite in his hands. He's quick, he's not boiling himself down, so you know what I mean. We could sit here and talk about all the points he's going to make for either fighter going to win the fight, but we are prize fighters at the end of the day. So who's going to show up on the night, and I think that's what it'll come down to.
You looking forward to being there for the fight, and do you have a prediction?
No prediction. I know both fighters, and I think that both of them are going to show up on the night, and I think we're going to be in for an absolute treat. I think it really does display the power of the legacy build that Senior and Nigel.
Hearn views the impending clash between Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn as one of the most significant bouts ever in the UK, driven by the deep personal history between their fathers. He's supporting Conor Benn, believing the fighter has a strong desire to prove himself after overcoming setbacks. Barry sees the match as evenly balanced, but thinks Benn has the power to stop Eubank Jr., even though Eubank has a size advantage.
Let you go, Barry. I want to ask, but at the end of the month, obviously, big fight. Eubank Jr. takes on Conor Benn. Well talked about, well documented. Where are you on it?
I think it's going to be a massive fight. I think it's arguably one of the biggest fights ever to take place in England. The personalities, the backstory between the dads, everything works to make this humongous. We could have sold 500,000 tickets. I think I'm with Conor Benn on this. I think he's gone through more than enough in his life, which has now been completely exonerated. What a waste of 2 years of a young man's life. He's got a point to prove, but Eubank is the bigger man. So I see it as a 50-50 fight, and I believe that Conor Benn can knock out Eubank Jr.
Eubank stated that Chris Eubank Jr. is far superior to Conor Benn in terms of experience and the quality of opponents he's faced. While recognizing that Chris might face challenges due to the weight difference, Harlem highlighted that Chris's boxing skills and overall ability are on a much higher level than Benn.
I think Chris is leaps and bounds ahead of Conor. You know, his experience, the guys he's been in with, take away the weight, because Chris is obviously going to be disadvantaged in there with the weight as well. but just ability, boxing skill set is on a complete.
Fight between Conor Benn and Chris Eubank is a tightly contested one. While he acknowledges Chris's superior career achievements, he feels Conor's hunger to prove himself might give him an edge. Izzy shares Ricky Hatton's view that Conor's extra drive could be crucial, though he also notes that Eubank's size advantage will be significant. The rivalry feels authentic, and Izzy is thrilled by the intensity.
It's a close one. I really think it's close one. I think Billy Joe beats them both. Not on the same night, but he beats them both. I really do, different level. I like Conor Benn. I know he come to our last York Road show, so on that basis, I think potentially got a bit more hunger. Potentially the one who's, I said Chris probably already kind of not made his mark in the game, but probably achieved a bit more than Conor Benn. I can feel like Conor, especially with the last couple of years he had, I feel like he's got a lot to prove. So maybe he has got more hunger. Maybe he's got more desire. Maybe he's got a bit more to prove. So Conor Benn probably has that little bit edge, and Ricky's probably got right to say that. But it's a close one. Size is going to play a big factor in it, and yeah, it's exciting. It's got a lot of history to it, a lot of rivalry.